Welcome! We're so glad you're here for this explainer from Faithful to the Word Ministries. Today we're diving into a powerful passage in Romans chapter 1, and we're drawing from a sermon by Dr. Joshua Nichols from his fantastic series, From Guilt to Glory. We're going to explore what a heart truly shaped by the gospel actually looks like, according to the Apostle Paul. Before we jump in, just a quick note. Faithful to the Word is a listener-supported 501c3 ministry. If you want to go deeper with this material, you can find the full sermon and a ton of other resources over on our website, faithfultotheword.com. Your support is what makes all of this possible, and we're so grateful for it.
All right, so here's our game plan for today. We're going to start with a really interesting idea called the test of pressure. From there, we'll unpack 4 key characteristics of a gospel-shaped heart: a heart of praise, a heart of prayer, a heart of partnership, and finally, a heart of purpose. And then we'll wrap it all up by asking what this means for you and me.
So let's get right into it with our introduction, the test of pressure. This is a powerful concept because it's a test that, believe me, life gives to every single one of us, whether we're ready for it or not.
I want you to really think about this for a moment. When life puts the squeeze on you, when the pressure's on, the trials hit, the stress mounts, what comes out? That question is really the key that unlocks this entire passage in Romans.
Dr. Nichols uses a brilliant and simple analogy here. If you squeeze an orange, what do you get? Orange juice, right? The pressure didn't create the juice, it was already in there. The squeeze just revealed what was inside all along. And it's the exact same way with our hearts. Pressure doesn't create our character, it exposes it.
And that brings us right to the Apostle Paul. His life was just one pressure cooker after another. I mean, beatings, jail time, shipwrecks, constant rejection. But every time life squeezed him, what came out? The gospel. Every single time. So Romans 1, verses 8 through 15, isn't just some polite hello to the church in Rome. No, it's a window into the soul of a man totally saturated with the good news of Jesus.
So let's look at the very first thing that pours out of Paul, a heart of praise. You see it right there in verse 8. The first thing he does is give thanks. But you got to look closely at his wording here. It's so precise. He doesn't say, "Hey, Romans, thanks for having such great faith." He says, "I thank my God." Now that is not an accident. Paul directs his praise to God because he knows, deep in his bones, that faith is not a human accomplishment. It's a gift from God. And this idea is the bedrock of his theology. Later in Romans, he makes it absolutely clear. Salvation isn't about our effort or our will. It is all about God's mercy. So if the Roman Christians have faith, it's only because God gave it to them. A heart that really gets that will always redirect the praise back to God. And here's what it all comes down to. A gospel-shaped heart learns to celebrate what God is doing in other people instead of competing with them or critiquing them. When Paul heard about the Romans' faith, his immediate reaction wasn't jealousy or rivalry. It was just pure, simple thanksgiving. You see, grace trains your eyes to spot grace first.
Okay, so let's move on to the second mark, which really flows naturally from the first one. A heart that celebrates other believers will also be a heart that brings them before God in prayer.
Paul says he serves God in his spirit. Now, the Greek word he uses for serve here is latreos. This is not just clocking in for a job. This is a word soaked in the language of worship, of priestly service in the temple. For Paul, his whole ministry, including his constant, unceasing prayer for the Romans, was a spiritual act of worship.
We see this kind of relentless prayer in the life of William Carey, who's known as the father of modern missions. People actually told him to sit down, that if God wanted to save people, he'd do it on his own. But Carey knew that God's power is the very reason we pray. He worked for 7 years straight in India without a single convert, but he never stopped praying. And from that prayerful heart flowed a legacy that changed the world.
And I love the posture of Paul's prayer. He's bold. He asks for something very specific. I want to get to Rome. But he holds that desire with an open hand, always adding, if it is God's will. And that's such a great model for us, isn't it? We can ask for big things because we know God can do them, and we can submit humbly because we trust that His plan is always better than ours.
All right, on to the third mark of a gospel-shaped heart. And this one is all about a deep, genuine longing for spiritual partnership, for real community.
This verse is it's beautiful. Paul, the giant of the faith, the great apostle, starts to say he wants to come and give them a spiritual gift, but then he kind of corrects himself. He says, no, wait. It's so we can be mutually encouraged by each other's faith. This just shatters any idea of a spiritual pecking order. The great apostle Paul is saying, I need you. I need your encouragement too. And that's the vision for the church you see all through the New Testament. The writer of Hebrews says, don't do this alone. Get together. Actively think about how you can spur each other on. The Christian life was never, ever meant to be a solo sport. We were made to need each other.
And get this, the Greek word in Hebrews for stimulate is paroxysmos. It's an intense word. It means to provoke, to stir up, to ignite something. This isn't just a gentle pat on the back. It tells us that Christian encouragement is supposed to be active, intentional, and yeah, even a little provocative.
Okay, let's look at the fourth and final mark, and this one might be the most challenging one. It's about how the gospel gives our entire life a new purpose, a new direction.
Paul says something really radical here. He says, I am under obligation. The Greek word is ophulethes, and it means a debtor. Paul basically sees himself as owing a debt to the world, a debt to share the gospel. Why? Because of the unbelievable grace he was shown. This man was an enemy of the church, and God showered him with mercy. That grace created a debt of love that compelled him to share the news.
And look at who he feels obligated to. Everyone. Greeks and barbarians, the wise and the foolish. In Paul's world, these were huge dividing lines. But in his mind, the gospel just bulldozes every single one of those barriers. It's for everybody. A gospel-shaped heart feels the weight of that mission to reach every kind of person.
And here is the beautiful result of that sense of obligation. It doesn't become a chore. It becomes a passion. Paul says, I am eager to preach the gospel. He's not reluctant or ashamed. He's eager. Why? Because he knows the gospel isn't just a nice idea. It's the power of God for salvation. And when you really believe that, how can you not be eager?
So, let's pull all this together. This look at Paul's heart isn't just a history lesson. It's meant to be a mirror for our own hearts.
And so we come all the way back to that first question. When the pressure of life squeezes you, what comes out? Is it complaining, bitterness, fear? Is it trying to protect yourself? Or is it the gospel? Is it praise and prayer and a desire for partnership and a sense of purpose? You see, this is the transformation the gospel brings about in us. It takes our natural pride and turns it into praise for God. It takes our passivity and turns it into active prayer for others. It breaks us out of our isolation and into real partnership. And it takes our self-focused lives and gives them a glorious, divine purpose.
And this is where it all leads. A heart so completely captured by the grace of God that it can say, right along with the apostle with real joy and conviction, I am eager. And our prayer should be that God would shape our hearts to be able to say the same thing.
Hey, if you'd like to explore these ideas more, I really hope you'll visit us at faithfultotheword.com. You can find so many more resources from Dr. Nichols there. And as a 501c3 nonprofit, we truly depend on your support to keep making content just like this. While you're there, you can also check out Dr. Nichols' excellent book, Between Two Trees. Thank you so much for joining us today.